Hi, everyone. I'm Maya Landi. I am a hair, makeup, and special effects artist in Boston.
I'm Nicole Coakley. I'm a wardrobe stylist and costume designer, and you are listening to The Go Creative Show.
Hey, everyone. My name is Ben Consoli. I am a director and owner of BC Media Productions, and this is The Go Creative Show, the show dedicated to creative professionals in the video production and filmmaking industries. Today, we discuss with Maya Landi and Nicole Coakley why having hair, makeup, and wardrobe stylists on your crew is essential for a perfect production. The Go Creative Show is supported by Rule Boston Camera, Buy, Rent, Create at Rule.com, Hedge.video, the fastest way to back up media, Shutterstock Com, Magnanimous Rentals, and PremiumBeat.com, premium, royalty-free music and sound. Now, I don't know about you guys, but at my production company, BC Media Productions, whenever possible, I make sure that I have makeup and hair and wardrobe on set. These are essential roles for me. And I think oftentimes people like us, we get all obsessed with gear, the latest camera, the best lights, sound equipment, all that stuff. It's a lot of fun, but you tend to put all of your focus behind the camera. And sometimes you overlook what's going on in front of the camera. I mean, honestly, no matter how good your behind the scenes, behind the camera people are, if your talent stinks, if they don't look good, if they're wearing the wrong clothing, your story's dead in the water. So you got to put the attention in front of the camera sometimes. And that's what I try to do on my productions. And that's what I'm encouraging you guys to do on yours if you don't already. Obviously, feature films, large scale things, large budgets. Yes, they're already doing it. But for people doing small corporate gigs, sometimes makeup and hair and wardrobe get cut because the budgets are tight. And this conversation that we have today with makeup artist Maya Landi and wardrobe stylist Nicole Coakley will hopefully change your mind and redirect your focus on what's most important, and that's what's in front of the camera. So we're going to get into all of that with them in just a couple of minutes. But before we get there, we've got big news from Hedge. Hedge is the backup software for filmmakers. We talk about them all the time, but they now have Frame.io integration. And this is huge news. So for those of you guys that are using Frame.io as your desktop app, right? What's going to happen is when you have watch folders set up, Hedge is going to automatically detect that and put your watch folders into the destination area of their app. So the way Hedge works is you've got one column for your sources, one column for your destinations. And the cool thing about Hedge is that you can import multiple sources and send it to multiple destinations at the same time, which is why it's perfect for using on set. Now, for me, I get my media cards, I put them all in the source area, and then I set 2 hard drives as my destinations because I want to have double backups before we leave set. It's just the way I do it. I'm a little anal with that, but that's how it is. But now, if you have Frame.io installed, the desktop app installed, Hedge is going to automatically detect it and put your watch folders, if you have any set up, it's going to include those watch folders in the destination section. So you can automatically send stuff and upload it right to Frame.io. This is huge and a huge time saver. So imagine, on set, you get your media cards, you set your destinations, right? And it automatically is being sent to your editor on Frame.io. I mean, that type of time saving, that type of integration is really valuable. So I know you guys are going to love that. So check it out. Go to hedge.video/Go Creative Show. Get the app. You get a 20% off discount simply by typing Go Creative Show in the coupon code. And check out this great integration with Frame.io. Why not? Head over there. Hedge.video/Go Creative Show. Okay, let's dive in. We're going to talk about makeup, hair, wardrobe, and why you guys need it on your sets. So I'm here with Maya Landi and Nicole Coakley, my go-to women for makeup and wardrobe. They're my first calls, and if they say no, I just say, I'm going to just shut the whole damn production down. Because if they're not on set, I don't want to be on set either. Welcome, ladies.
Hi.
That's Maya. You can get used to her voice there, Maya Landi. And then Nicole, say hi to the good people.
Hi, good people.
We are here at the Podcast Garage, PRX Podcast Garage in Boston, or Alston, for those of you that are from this area. None of us, I don't think, have been here since the millionth download party, which is a while ago. It was over a year ago.
I can't believe it was over a year ago. It was so much fun.
It really was a good time. Yeah. Well, did you go to that?
No, I didn't get to go to that.
Was that before we started
work friends?
Yes.
That's right.
That was right before we started doing this.
Yep.
Nicole came in and basically took all the wardrobe work from me. So whoever I was using before, I don't know where you are. Bye.
Not at the podcast garage.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah, that was a blast. I really love it here. I wish I could do all the episodes here, but
it was so much fun. Yeah.
It really was.
It looked beautiful with Joey Nicotera's lighting.
Nicotera's lighting was amazing.
Yeah. It was a big party in here.
He really transformed this place.
He did.
It was very, very cool. And the episode is still on the website if you guys want to check it out. I don't remember the number of it, but it's back there somewhere.
That episode was fantastic too. I mean, it was really enlightening in terms of, what was happening with cinematography and color grading. Rob Bissett. Yep.
We had Rob Bissett on. I can't remember the guy's name. We had somebody on talking about like digital filmmaking.
Yeah.
And like visual effects where the entire set is being created virtually. So there'll be like somebody sitting on a box and then they'd show on the monitor that this like whole environment is created behind them and they're interacting with it. And as the camera moves, the background moves. Like, I'm not explaining it well at all because it's not fresh in my mind, but it's a cool episode to check out. So
it was really interesting.
Go back in the archives and check it out, people, and let us know. If you think we should do another live show here, let us know, because listeners in this area, will you come out to see a Go Creative show live? I think you would. I'd like to do it again.
I would love to do that again. It was a blast.
That was really fun.
Yeah.
But we're here today to talk about makeup and wardrobe, because what I found, and I do a lot of like, smaller budget stuff, corporate stuff, lower budget commercial work. There's a lot of that in Boston. So, that's the kind of work you do here. Unless you're in the union, and I'm not in the union at least. But what I often find is that budgets get tight, and one of the first things to go is makeup. Clients will be like, I don't know. We don't need a makeup artist. Can't you just bring a powder kit? I hear that all the time. And I feel like wardrobe is another one of those things. Even more so, wardrobe's almost like a luxury to people in the budget ranges that I'm working in a lot of the times.
Right.
So I want to talk about why that's a bad idea. Why cutting makeup and wardrobe is a terrible idea. And I know the people in the Go Creative Show audience are going to appreciate this discussion, because you may be in charge of your own budgets, you may not, but at least you can be an advocate for makeup and wardrobe, because believe me, it is going to make your shoot so much better. It really, really is.
Thank you.
Nicole, let's start with you. Just introduce yourself to the great listeners here and let us know, who you are and what you do, and we'll start there.
Can we start with Maya?
Nicole is new to radio. She is new.
I'm low-key terrified.
Are you panicking?
Yeah.
This is amazing. Are you breaking out into hives?
I don't know. But you know what? If I was, makeup could fix that.
Look at new to radio and flawless transitions. So we'll start with Maya. Tell us who you are, what you do. Tell us about yourself.
Hi, I am Maya Landi, and I am a makeup, hair, and special effects artist, freelance here. I am non-union. I've been working professionally in film and television and video production for about 9 years. Self-taught in makeup. One of the things I actually realized as I was trying to get into this industry is that there aren't a lot of resources for training and educating artists on how to work on set. And I think that that's actually where a lot of the issues come in with productions cutting makeup, because they don't really understand what it is that we do and what we provide. Same with wardrobe, right? So the things that I had to learn myself, I learned through trial and error and through being able to work with like Ben Eckstein was the first person he was the first DP I worked with in production. And then he eventually introduced me to you and Chris Lochran, Joe McLeish, lots of other people in production here. But I learned with all of them. And I feel like a lot of people just really they haven't taken the time to really understand what we do. Sorry if I just went kind of
No, go for it.
off on a tangent here, but I know I was just supposed to introduce myself.
Take the reins. It's perfectly fine.
But yeah, it is something that I've noticed. There's not enough guidance for makeup artists to really take the reins, so to speak, on set.
So you're finding like there's not education? I guess where people think about film school and there's you can go to film school. I mean, I went to Emerson and I had tons of film classes. And you learn, how to run a camera, what looks good for lighting. And you also learn some set etiquette because you're practicing on student films.
Yes.
Is that not the case with makeup?
Very rarely. Yeah. Yeah. And I think it takes a particular kind of personality to kind of immerse yourself in that and observe and learn and ask questions. And I think that because traditionally production crews focus more on camera and lighting and sound than they do the vanities. So they don't take the time to really understand what we do or how to interact with us. So I find that can create a misunderstanding about what our value really is. And then for the makeup artists who haven't, had any education on set etiquette or what it means to work with a DP and gaffer, it makes it harder for those makeup artists to sort of put themselves out there and learn and communicate with other crew.
Do you find the same thing? Like, how are you getting your training, Nicole?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that if makeup and wardrobe are the first things to go, then that doesn't necessarily create an opportunity where the crew in that department is deep. So whereas you might have multiple people who are at multiple levels in, say, lighting or another department like camera, those opportunities don't exist as frequently for makeup and wardrobe. I've been lucky to assist some great commercial stylists in Boston, but I would say there's not as much opportunity to work with other artists in your department if you're starting out in makeup or wardrobe.
You're very new to the industry, too. I mean, you're very young, first of all, which I hate you for it. But that's okay. I hate being one of the oldest people on set. It makes me very sad.
I'm always older than you on set.
That's true. That's why I keep you around.
Now. Right. Never offset.
But how long have you been doing it?
Actually 5 years. So it's been a little
You've been doing it longer
now,
than I thought.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the things that really impressed me is that you were able to come in very professionally, and you're really good with the clients, and you're really good with the talent, which is a huge issue because every person that I've put in front of a crew member, that's a relationship that's made between the client and the crew. And everybody that I'm hiring I'm basically vouching for you. I'm like, these are good people and I trust them. And so you should too. So if the client has a bad experience with anybody from the top all the way down to PAs or anybody, have even a bad experience with like food. If the food isn't there on time and they have any bad experience is going to reflect worse on me and the company as a whole. So bringing people on that are good with clients is huge. And that was one of the things I noticed with you. But just to get back to what we were talking about as far as training goes, is there an outlet for training when it comes to, wardrobe for commercial work?
I would say no. I don't know how to answer that question. I feel like I've been very lucky that I've been able to assist some other commercial stylists. So I would say that's kind of the path that exists, but there's not as many opportunities to PA for that specific department again as there might be for something like lighting or camera or one of the departments that perhaps people view as being more inherently technical. But in fact, there's a lot of technique that I have learned from assisting other people, whether that's where to get resources for period costumes, how to build a breakaway costume. Those are all things that unless you go to school for it or unless someone teaches you it, you're not necessarily going to know. So I've had the opportunity to do a little bit of both, trial and error, as Maya was talking about, from working on set, but also having the opportunity to observe other people has been an important element of that experience for me. And even just down to interacting with the client, to come back to your point, I feel that I learned a bit of that art from observing other wardrobe artists pitching their ideas to clients, because it is inherently very collaborative work. And I think a lot of people getting into wardrobe might not realize that having an aesthetic is a base requirement, but it's not necessarily what makes you good at your job, because you're having to meet the needs of multiple layers of people, the client, as well as the director and the production company and what they're looking for. So it's not always about your individual taste. It's about being able to pitch what you think will work, but also accommodate what other people need.
I want to talk about workflow and how you guys approach new projects. Okay. So I'll start with you, Maya. You get a new project, somebody calls you up, they're like, hey, we have a shoot on X day. What is the next thing that you would like to have happen?
What I would like to have happen, ideally, would be to be more involved with casting for projects.
Why?
Because something that I've found that happens a lot is when talent comes in for casting, you know, there may be things about, and, you know, at the risk of sounding superficial, but this is part of my job, and, you know, talent is being cast to sell a product. There may be things that could be addressed early on in terms of skin or hair issues, especially with color. I mean, many people color their hair now, and they don't take into consideration that their roots need to be done by, you know, the time the shoot rolls around. But if I were involved in the process early on, I'd be able to help select appropriate talent and communicate with them before the shoot day to kind of address maybe some things that could be helpful for them to prepare before the actual shoot.
So you're looking at things like skin tone. You're looking at...
Not necessarily skin tone, but skin quality.
Skin quality, that's what I meant.
Hair quality. Because, you know, realistically, when we're on set, we're not given time to address each person's individual issues that may come up aesthetically, right? So it's like when you're working on a commercial or corporate set, you might have like 15 to 20 minutes per person to do hair and makeup. And that's not realistic, you know, to make someone camera ready. So it would help in terms of, you know, if I get to meet these people early on, or at least talk with them and see photos early enough, it would be helpful for me to assess, you know, and communicate with directors like what it is that we need to make them ready for that day and what we would need that day for time. But also, like, part of the job with hair and makeup and wardrobe is that we're the only people on set that are physically touching these people all day.
Well, I touch all the time.
Yeah, obviously. That's a requirement. They need to be comfortable with you touching them in order to be cast.
Emotionally speaking, I'm sure it's true. That's what I've observed.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's an automatic trust and intimacy that happens when you're touching somebody and you're responsible for the way that they look. So it's care that's being provided for them. And so, you know, if we can create a bond a little bit earlier, it actually makes things flow that much easier the day of shooting. And, you know, quite frankly, the day of shooting, no one else on crew is thinking really about talent and what they need to get their job done, right?
Yep.
You're thinking about the time that you have to be finished by, what you're trying to produce in order to sell this product for this client. And so, like, I think that there are things that could be addressed much earlier than shoot day.
So bringing you on during pre-production or during casting is an interesting thing. I would have never thought to do that because, first of all, I'm always thinking, when I'm making my budgets, I'm just thinking shoot days for makeup.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, like, it might be hard to justify that to the client, but maybe it isn't. I mean, because you could be avoiding huge problems on set.
Yes. I mean, I've been on set many times where, you know, again, we're on a time constraint, and then people are asking me to produce something with this talent that I can't physically produce because of maybe certain skin issues or hair issues. And also, you know, when we're talking about hair and makeup and wardrobe not really having an adequate sort of education community, talent doesn't always have that either. So people make the mistake of thinking that because someone is an actor or a model, that they know how to take care of their hair and skin. So there's sometimes is very little that I can actually do when I'm faced with a particular challenge.
Have you ever had a situation where somebody comes on set, you haven't met them, it's a total disaster?
Personally, I have not. I haven't had an experience where it's been a total disaster that I can't salvage it.
Okay.
Right. But that's me. And the thing is that it is actually unfair to be put in that position to have to figure out how to salvage something on such a time constraint. But also, I think that part of why some productions don't understand the value of makeup artists, or perhaps they've worked with makeup artists and they haven't really been impressed, is because the makeup artist has been set up to fail. By being put in that kind of position without enough communication beforehand. When you talk about big budget features, huge films where they have this budget, makeup artists and hairstylists are brought on right from the beginning. They're doing makeup tests, they're doing hair tests. They want to make sure things look right on camera before they actually roll. And they're having conversations too, because you can deal with skin allergies to products, so if someone breaks out in hives day of, what are you going to do?
Especially when you're dealing with people that are not professional.
Sure.
They can get nervous, and oh my God, I have been in situations where there's no makeup.
Right.
We have somebody that's never been on camera before and is crumbling to pieces.
Yeah.
Eye twitches and flop sweats and breaking out into hives. I've seen it.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Yeah.
And the other thing too.
It's real.
It's real. And when you're casting, those of you that have done casting, you know this, and those of you that haven't, I'm going to tell you right now, they're not using the most professional cameras at these casting, but they're shooting in SD sometimes. You don't have good monitors. Like it's a very like utilitarian way of shooting these people.
Right.
So you're not seeing them in high def. You're not seeing them in 4K. You're not even really seeing them up close. It's just a very rudimentary way. Is that the right word? What does that word mean? It felt like I should say it.
Basic.
Okay. Then it was right. It's a very rudimentary way of getting to know what these people look like on camera.
Yeah.
And if you're doing small budget stuff like I'm doing a lot of the times, you're not going to be you don't have the time to do these cameras tests. But this is what I'm thinking. If you don't hire a makeup artist and a problem comes up, if you don't bring a makeup artist in on a casting day and a problem comes up on set, 1 hour of overtime is so much more than it would have cost to have that makeup artist in pre-production.
Yes, absolutely.
So you just got to think about it that way to justify it with your clients.
Yeah.
Nicole, tell me about your workflow. Somebody calls you.
Yes.
They have a shoot. What's the next thing that you want to happen?
So usually production would send me the creative for something. Ideally, I would have a call with the director to establish what their vision is for the particular piece and what they're looking to see at a fitting. I would then go about calling the talent, confirming their size information, and then shopping accordingly. And then at the fitting, that would be a discussion initially, usually with the director, about what we think is best to pitch to the client, and then subsequently pitching those looks to the client and finding out whether or not that is what they want to go with as a direction. Usually, ideally, pitching 2 to 3 top looks and seeing what direction they want to go in.
I love when you send me swipes, which is a term I never even really knew what that was until I started working with you. And basically what it is like me as a director, or even when I'm producing, I'll be in touch with you and I'll be like, here's the script. This is the kind of vision that we have. And it's very basic. It's like, you just find pictures on, what's it called? Not Instagram, Pinterest. You'll find stuff on Pinterest and you'll type in like men's fashions 2018 or 2019. And then you just find stuff and there's no real rhyme or reason to it. And then it'll get sent to you and it'll be like, this is kind of the theme that we're going for. And what you would do is send us back swipes. Explain to us what that is.
Yeah. So once I know what the particular vision for something is, so usually I'll get creative from production that maybe they've used to pitch the client. So I might know if there's brand colors or what type of settings we're going to be in or what type of feel we're trying to establish. At that point, then swipes would mean me going on to something like Pinterest and finding effectively inspiration images to communicate back to them how I've interpreted their vision and how I intend to shop for something. It could also potentially be more specific than that. If I'm given enough lead time, what I'm able to do is put swipes together of what we'll actually see on set. So in lieu of a fitting, sometimes I may send the exact pieces. It's not ideal because we don't get to see them on the talent, but depending on the circumstance, it could be one or both of those things. It could just be me sending inspiration images to communicate how I've understood the vision, or it could be also images of what I've shopped.
So best case scenario, you get the creative, you provide swipes to the director and producer, and then they give you some time to do a fitting.
Yes.
Explain to us what a fitting is.
So for a fitting, we would have the talent come in. The client is their agency, if there's agency involved. The client will basically, hopefully, have given some feedback on swipes that we've done before that. So we have some idea where we're going with things. And then you as the director and I would have a conversation about what I have there and what we'd like to try on the talent. I try not to belabor the point and make the talent try on too many things. So ideally, we would first talk about what you prefer from what I have. Depending on the situation, the talent may also bring some of their own wardrobe. So we may be able to mix and match if they happen to have things that are within the look that we're trying to establish. And then we would try 2, 3, 4 looks on them, take pictures, and show those to the client. If there were any objections or if they were looking for something else, then we have the opportunity to reconnoiter. And what's great about it is that then we're not doing that on set. Because you always have to fit the talent. It's whether or not you are doing it in a fitting setting or on set. And doing it on set can become very stressful for the talent as well. That is also potentially taking time away from makeup when they're trying to get them ready in the morning and they can't sit in the chair because I have to try 2 or 3 outfits on them and see what will fit. It's sort of like the swipes. There are many ways to come at it, and I am happy to make whatever circumstance I'm in work as well as possible. But having a fitting before definitely allows an opportunity to have a more extended conversation about wardrobe and a much smoother transition on the day.
It is so important. When there's a time crunch on set, everybody feels it. Talent feels it, client feels it, every department feels it. And it can happen so easily.
Yeah.
And then you're running late.
That's why, having everything taken care of in pre-production, saves time for problems that can arise on set.
Magnanimous Rentals. That's what we're talking about right now. Here's the deal. Magnanimous Rentals is an equipment rental house. They're based in Chicago, but they ship all over the country. So have no fear. You guys can take advantage of what I'm about to say. Magnanimous is obsessed with pricing. Obsessed. Okay. They really have dedicated their entire business to being the best priced option for anybody out there. First of all, orders over $500 shipped for free. That's the first thing. Secondly, they have these insane discounts called flash discounts. So when you go to their site at magrents.com, you go right there, and if you see a big flashing red price, that's their flash discounts. And these are limited time discounts, but they are steep discounts. Listen to this. You know that lens I'm always raving about? That Fujinon 18-55, the E-mount lens? I love those lenses. Their flash discount right now gives it to you for 7 days for less than $200. Not a day, $200 total for 7 days. And that's just one of the flash discounts that they have going on right now. Now, I can't promise that this discount's going to be available when you hear this episode, but that's not the point. The point is you need to go there every day because these discounts are short term, and you want to make sure you book your dates while the discount is happening. So that is one of the many reasons to go to Magnanimous Rentals. You'll see. You'll go there, even if the item that you're looking for is not on a flash discount, don't worry about it because the prices that they have, you will always get the best price available. It's just no question. So they've got a great inventory, and they are the best on price. And that's why you guys should go. So head over to magrents.com, magrents.com, and check out Magnanimous Rentals. And lastly, let's talk about Shutterstock.com. Shutterstock, of course, is the place to go. You're going to get music, you're going to get royalty-free photography and video and all that stuff. But I think what Shutterstock does best is their curations, right? Because they have, I'm looking at their site right now, they have over 14 million royalty-free video clips. A lot of them are in 4K, so for all you 4K people, have no fear, you're going to find something great. Their prices are great, the production quality is really good, but 14 million, right? So for me, it's all about finding what I'm looking for because that's a lot of clips to search through. So what I do is when I go to Shutterstock.com, I go immediately to the footage tab and I go right down to their curated collections because this is a great starting point. There's always something new up there too. And it's a good place to just kind of get inspired when you kind of have like editor's block. You just can't think anymore. You just need something different to spark your interest and your creativity. And Shutterstock is a great place to do that. Just this week, in fact, I scrolled down there. I found a curated collection called Summer Vibes because I was doing something that needed some summery, warm sunlit shots. And I found what I was looking for, I'll tell you that. And not only do you just find a lot, you find really high quality stuff. So that's why I go to Shutterstock all the time. They've got great pricing. You can pre-purchase credits. So you end up saving a whole bunch of money when you actually do go and purchase those clips. And there's just so much to explore and have fun with over there. So I think you should check it out. Go to Shutterstock.com. But remember, click on footage and scroll down and go to the curated collections because that is where I begin. It's a great place to start, and I know you guys are going to really love it. So go to Shutterstock.com and check it out for yourself. So when I'm thinking about wardrobe fitting days, what is valuable to me is that we're now able to have a color palette that we can build a set around. Because this is what you guys might not be thinking, is if you don't have somebody managing wardrobe, you're going to go on set, you're going to plop somebody down on your set, and you're going to be like, oh my God, these colors make no sense. Like, this is psycho. And these are some of the problems that I found with wardrobe that people just own and bring if you don't have a wardrobe person. They could have wardrobe that's loud.
Oh my God.
You put a mic on it and it's scratching. And it's just, that happens all the time. You can have a loud wardrobe. You can have a shiny wardrobe that lights are just blowing out like crazy. Mm-hmm. You can have wardrobe that's ill-fitting. Let's be honest. Everybody has clothes that you're like, oh, I fit in that a couple of years ago. It'd be fine. and then you're like, ugh. And the thing is, it's all about making sure that the client's talent is comfortable. And they need to feel like they look good. They need to look good, but they need to feel like they look good.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I think makeup and wardrobe provide on the whole. I want a horror story, and I've got one that I was on with you, and I'm curious if you're going to bring up the same one. Tell me a story in a situation where people did not bring you in for a fitting. You go to the set, you have to work with what you've been given, and it sort of became a problem. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
I certainly do.
Well, it was also a period piece.
Yes, one of our early pieces together.
Yes.
It was 1950s naval wardrobe in the morning and 1970s industrial wardrobe in the afternoon, mm-hmm. which is a great way to split the day. By
the way, this was entirely my fault because I didn't bring you in for a fitting. So it's... I was the problem.
Yeah, let's tell a good blame it on Ben story.
I was the problem, and I learned the hard way that it wasn't a good idea. Tell what happened.
So everything went smoothly with the naval wardrobe in the morning, so we were feeling pretty good about that. But we got to the afternoon, and we are fitting the 1970s wardrobe on set. And come to find out that the actor who I have called, texted, and emailed is not one, not two, not three, but 4 sizes bigger than he told me. So because there were only 2 talent in the scene, it wasn't like I had a lot of other period pants in many different sizes at my disposal. So we had to, in the time that it took them to light the shot, try to reconnoiter and find something that would read period from a thrift store that happened to be near where we were shooting. And I actually
You needed to leave
love
set.
how it turned out, but I needed to leave set. I had 45 minutes to try to find pants that would read as period.
And yes, it worked out.
And it worked out, luckily.
It worked out great.
Because I think that's a huge part of what we do is we try to be adaptable when things go wrong. But certainly that wouldn't
But we lucked out, though.
If we had a fitting.
That was a lucky break. You were on that shoot.
Yes, I was.
That was a lucky break.
On that.
That's right. We had wigs. We had all sorts. It was a mistake. It was a mistake to not allocate some funds to that. To have.
I think with a period piece, especially, fitting becomes more important. Yeah. And I think the other element of that that was challenging, but ultimately we were able to deal with, was then finding out on set that you and I had discussed a particular color palette that we were all in for.
Yep.
And then the client, who admittedly said, I'm totally changing my mind right now. Can you accommodate this? I want to go a different way. And we were ultimately, again, able to accommodate going a different way. But certainly when a client brings that up at a fitting, that's much easier to address. And that's the other thing about fittings, is that they really give me the opportunity to be totally sure that when we go on set, we're going to create a product that the client is happy with, that we've been able to discuss this with them and find out, they may see the swipes and think they like it. And then when they see it in person, change their mind. It's an important step in the dialogue with the client to make sure that we're achieving a look and feel that they're comfortable with in the end.
And that client was awesome. Like,
they were great.
Dan was great.
They were so cool about it.
Yeah.
They were cool about it. And honestly, it's so easy to be like, oh, the client changed their mind. But really, we're supposed to be creating an environment where the client can do that.
Totally.
Like, that's our job.
Yeah.
We can't be like, no, you said 3 weeks ago you want this, and then you can't change it. It's like, come on, that's insane. So,
and it's a testament to a skill set, right? And a dedication to your job when you have the ability to accommodate last minute like that,
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and that was before we were sending client swipes, so he was well within his rights.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and honestly, I think it was that shoot that we had this discussion between the three of us, like, we need to do a podcast about
it totally was.
This.
Yeah.
Because it's so important. And then actually just taking from that same shoot, we had wigs on the shoot. It's my first time working with wigs. And I love wigs, as you know.
And
I'm
you
obsessed
love
with
wigs and overdrawn eyebrows.
I do. I don't know what it is. I'm obsessed. I love when people wear, my thing right now is I'm obsessed with hats. Like, I want to wear a hat. Do you think I could get away with wearing a hat?
Yeah.
I just feel like, I don't know what it is.
Yeah. You can wear certain hats for sure.
I think it's because when I was in Puerto Rico, everybody wears those like, what are those hats called? The like island hats everybody wears. What are they called? They're like
Panama
hats.
Yeah.
And I'm like, everyone's wearing a Panama hat and they look cool. And I'm like, should I wear a hat or am I just going to look lame? Anyway, hats are my obsession. Prior to hats, it was wigs. I'm not going to start wearing wigs, whatever. But
we can both help you out with that, though.
I have a wig on right now.
You can wear a wig and a hat.
Sometimes you can wear a hat that has a wig attached to it.
That's right.
Oh my God. I don't know what it is.
We're here for you.
Well, I'm glad. Regardless, we had a wig on set.
Yeah.
And I wish that we had more time to prepare for it, because I didn't know this and you taught me. Wigs just don't look good, right? I mean, out of the bag. You can't just throw a wig on and it works.
No, even if it's a high quality wig, it still needs adjusting. It needs quite a bit of adjusting, especially on camera, because they all have a little bit of a shine.
Oh, they're so shiny.
Yeah.
So fake looking.
Yeah. Yeah. So you really do have to adjust it. I was recently on a shoot for a car company where we had to use a beard prosthetic. And, again, the guys just thought that you take the beard out of the bag and you just glue it to someone's face. And I was like, nah, guys, we need about 3 hours to put this thing on properly.
Yeah.
Because it's not just some, no-name car company.
Yeah. I'm surprised at even really super high-end stuff. Although, I gotta be honest with you, like, some of the most high-end stuff that I've done has been the tightest margins.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Well, actually, I know that, I'm speaking on wardrobe, but I was doing light wardrobe assisting for this one car company shoot, and they had talent bring their own wardrobe. And I was just going to help them coordinate outfits. And it was supposed to be for a summer advertisement. And one of the professional models, actresses, only brought sheer blouses with no undergarment, like no tank tops underneath. So she wound up, and we didn't have time to shop. So she wound up wearing her sweater that she came in with for a summer commercial, where everyone else in the commercial was wearing, lighter clothing. She had to wear the sweater. So if there had been a wardrobe stylist involved, the client would have actually gotten what they should have gotten.
And we're not even talking about huge numbers. Like, let's say you carve out $1,000 for wardrobe for two people. You're not spending $1,000. That's the amount of money that you can buy all of your stuff with. But you're only gonna use and pay for what was used. You know what I mean? Like, you can return stuff. I think people don't understand that. Right. They'll hire someone like you, Nicole, and they'll be like, okay, I want you to do wardrobe. And you're like, oh, I need, $2,500 or whatever it is. And they freak out, not realizing that a lot of that money is going to come back to you because you're only going to pay for what you use. That is something that was really important for me to know back when I first started using wardrobe people. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. It's not as big of a chunk of your budget as you may think.
Yeah. And additionally, for me, I do keep a stock of wardrobe things as well. So, much the way that Maya has a makeup kit, I have a wardrobe kit. So, nice. Unfortunately for my boyfriend, our basement is full of racks of usable wardrobe for commercial shoots. So.
Maybe not. He might be wearing your wardrobe right now.
He might be.
You come in one day and he's dressed in period piece from the 1960s.
He's a lucky man. There's 10 1950s naval shirts down there, so he's got possibilities. But but anyways, as far as like tank tops or something like that goes, that is the sort of thing that I would just be bringing with me to a set anyways. That is not necessarily an element of your budget that you're paying for per cost on a receipt, but rather you're paying a kit rental to borrow the 30 tank tops that I show up with and all of the socks that I have and, various pairs of shoes or blouses or things like that as well. So there are many ways to work it within the wardrobe budget. And some of that would be to rent it from me directly as well. So some of us in smaller size markets that don't have full-scale LA rental houses take it upon ourselves to hold on to wardrobe. So
that's a really good point too about the smaller market, because sometimes I think a lot of production they don't understand that Boston doesn't function the way that LA does. So if you need something, period piece or something with special effects, prosthetics, something specific makeup-wise, we don't have that readily available here in Boston all the time. A lot of times we have to order things from out of state, and you need time to do that. You need money to do that. So that's something too that really helps with pre-production and getting us involved earlier rather than later, because some of that stuff we just can't produce right away.
I see that a lot with equipment. Like Rule Boston Camera is amazing. They have so much stuff. And I don't know if you guys have known, there's been a couple of shoots that we've been on where there's like fire drills and we need to bring Rule back in to like bring another piece of equipment or a car died or something like that happens. So, I mean, I love working with those guys anyway, but they've got a great inventory. But even that, it's like, you can't just on a whim be like, oh, I need 3 more Alexas.
Right.
Like, it's different than it is in Los Angeles or New York here. It just is. Totally. It's a smaller market.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, I want to talk about, we only have a few minutes left, and I want to talk about your biggest pet peeves. Like, what do you want, now that you have captive audience here. Many of the people in the audience, may be producers. They're putting budgets together. What do you want that person to know about the value you bring on set and why they should bring you in early? Or maybe that's not even the thing you want to talk about, but just what would you like these people to know about makeup?
What I think is most important about makeup, and I feel the same way about wardrobe, I touched on this earlier about the fact that we are the only people on set who are touching people all day, right? Physically touching them. So the thing is people often forget the amount of stress that talent can be under to be able to produce what they need to sell this product. And whether it's a professional model or actor, I mean, you take into consideration that professional models and actors, they thrive on attention, right? They want to be cared for. And when they know that they look their best, and they have people who are looking out for them in that regard, they feel more prepared. And I've heard this from a lot of talent. I'll see people out and about and they say things like, oh, when I see your name on a call sheet, I feel relief because I know I'm going to be treated like a person.
Yep.
And I know I'm going to be taken care of. And I think it's so easy for the rest of the crew and clients to forget that this is a human being on the other side of the camera. And when you have people like me and Nicole being able to care for them all day, right? We're the first ones that are with them through the day, like at the beginning of the day. So we can set the tone for the day with talent in making them feel comfortable and cared for. And I think that component of what we do is very undervalued by production crews. Instead of talent always feels that. And especially if you're working with someone who is not a professional actor or model, they're like, a representative from a company. They especially, they're so nervous. They're not used to this kind of environment, which can be so overwhelming for them. So when they know they have a point person that's going to be taking care of them all day, it just makes them feel so much better and so much better equipped to do what they need to do.
Absolutely.
Also, if there are any problems on set, we know about it. They talk to us.
That is true. You have the longest, you probably have the most contact with the talent.
Yeah.
Because by the time they come on set, we're ready to shoot. I deal with them for just a little bit and then I'm like, go stand over there and do your thing.
And even sometimes we've talked to them even before they come to set too, called them, emailed them.
Yeah.
And we will hear their concerns out front before we've ever met them. So they come to set and they're looking for us. They know who we are.
Yeah.
Oh, I spoke with Nicole. I spoke with Maya. I get a lot of phone calls for directions to set. So
that is
which
true.
I am the wrong person to ask, but I redirect them accordingly.
That really is true. You guys, I didn't even think about that, but you are in communication with them before really anyone else is.
Yeah. Yeah, every time. But that is the thing, is that we bond with them in a way that no one else on crew can, because of the element of touch and trust that happens. But it just helps them feel comfortable, all day, to know that they're being taken care of by someone.
And if makeup and wardrobe are not there, they're kind of just floundering.
Yes.
They don't know, honestly,
True.
they don't know what to do because no one else is really able to dedicate time to them because everyone is busy and running around and it's hustle bustle and it's just there's hustle bustle. I'm like my Nana. What am I saying?
You're older than I am
I'm telling
now.
you, these my age is. I just asked the person, Kevin, that runs this place. I couldn't figure out how to print from my iPad. What is happening with me, Maya? I don't like it. I really don't.
Well, that's why you keep a millennial around.
That's true.
Here to help.
Oh my God, it's really awful. I lost track of what I'm saying. There we go. Even more aging symptoms. I'm losing track of what I'm saying. What am I even doing anymore? Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, we're talking about.
You're asking me what I hate.
That's right.
Yeah, your pet peeve.
That's right. You've got a captive audience. What do you want them to know about what wardrobe does and the value it brings?
Well, I think Maya stole the best answer. But in terms of wardrobe specifically, I would say that, rather than necessarily a pet peeve, I guess the point that I would make about the value that wardrobe brings is that there are so many reasons that wardrobe cannot work in a scene. And when you see a commercial, you know it. If wardrobe is not steamed, if the pattern is too loud, if it's sheer, if it doesn't make sense within the context of what you're shooting, if it does not make sense within the context of what the set designer has done. I mean, nobody wants somebody to show up and wear a gray blouse against a gray wall unless that was a stylistic choice. And I think that people don't necessarily account for how things are going to read on camera versus in real life. In order for wardrobe to look real and not styled, there's a lot of work that goes into that. So I think it's difficult to have people bring their own wardrobe, and especially the more talent that you get on set, the more critical that it is to coordinate all of that, because you don't want a party where everybody's wearing the same shirt.
Bring up these conversations early, I think, is the big thing. Whether you have makeup or wardrobe on at all, I think it's the responsibility of the producer and really in the director to make sure that these conversations are happening with your client. Do we want hot pink on set? We should talk about that. You know what I mean? It's like so that we know that we can at least say, don't bring this to set.
Right.
You know? Are we shooting green screen? As insane as it sounds, if you have talent that doesn't know you're shooting green screen, they could be wearing green.
There's also a lot of makeup restrictions with green screen.
There you go.
If you don't, and people who are doing their own makeup may not know that, and there are makeup elements now that are so popular in, wearing day to day, but that are not compatible with not only HD, but green screen technology too.
The fact of the matter is, after all said and done, what people are going to remember from your piece is if the talent was good. That's it.
Right.
That is it. I mean, even when we're talking about beautiful, gorgeous cinematography, and I have fallen victim to this, where I'm like, I don't even care because the cinematography is so delicious. After time goes on, a year goes by and the excitement of that cinematography is gone. If the talent stinks, it's just not going to work. And what's going to make the talent good or bad is not just their performance, but how they look and how they look with makeup and how they look with wardrobe. That's it. It really is the key to it. So if you're in a situation where your client is stressing over the fabric in a chair or the positioning of a vase, which can happen for hours and hours and hours, and they're not worried about they're not going to put budget aside for makeup and wardrobe, that's a problem. And it's something you guys need to have conversations with your clients. And the way to justify it, honestly, is if they're like, oh, you have $20,000 and not $1 more. What I've been doing is I've been saying, okay, great. This is how I'm going to break out the budget. And just so you know, 1 hour of overtime is going to cost this. I've been telling my clients what overtime costs in the past few years. And I'm telling you, it works so well because then you can have a real tangible price to slowing down the video. And you'd be like, okay, we really can do this. This project's going to take, 8 hours or 9 hours, whatever it is. You got to budget in an hour for wardrobe for this person. You got to budget in 30 minutes or 45 minutes for makeup, whatever we do. So we're cutting all this time down. If we had somebody ahead of time, we can significantly decrease the amount of time we spend there and keep the budget on track, keep the time on track. Letting them know the cost of overtime, I think, is valuable.
That's really smart.
Well, we finally got a warm day here in Boston. Finally! So I needed something summery and light to just get me all excited. So I went to premiumbeat.com and I found this song and made this the premiumbeat.com Song of the Week. It's called Conga Line by Youth Fair. Premium Beat is where I go for all my royalty-free music and sound effects. I got a huge sound effects library. So go over to premiumbeat.com and access a collection of thousands of royalty-free tracks for as low as $59 each. And the best part is you don't just get the song. You get loop sets, you get cut downs, you get stems. So what that means for you is complete and utter customization. So you can fit these tracks perfectly into your piece. So it's all there. Premiumbeat.com. Check it out for yourself. Download this song if you want. You want a little break from the freezing cold. Premiumbeat.com. All right, and lastly, let's talk about rule busting camera. Lastly, but certainly not leastly, is that the way to say it? I don't know. Making up things as we go here. Rule Boston Camera is the place to go to purchase and rent all of your production equipment. Now, they've got a giant inventory. They've been doing this for over 35 years. So they have a world-class inventory of rental gear for cameras, audio, lighting, grip gear, communications, camera dynamics, everything you can possibly imagine, it's there. So you don't have to worry about that. They also got a huge selection of lenses, which is really important for people like me who own a camera, but then I like to, upgrade my lenses for certain projects and all of that. But the most important thing about Rule is their service, right? What good is equipment if you're not going to have the service and support to help you with it? So before you even leave, you're going to get expert advice and counsel. In pre-production, you got to get technical guidance when you take the equipment out for your shoot because they are committed to support you in your production. I mean, they really feel more like a partner than a rental house. I mean, there's been times when I've called them and said, hey, I want to rent this piece of equipment. And they've learned more about what the project was, and they've pushed me in a different direction. And sometimes even a less expensive direction. Because the situation that I was in, the requirements I had didn't necessarily match with the equipment I thought I needed. Now, that's the type of stuff that you're just not going to get anywhere else. And that's why I keep going back. Rule Boston Camera over at rule.com, RULE.com. One last thing before we go. Well, two things. I want you guys to just give a little bit of advice to, budding makeup artists and wardrobe stylists out there and what they can do to get into the industry. But before we get there, one more thing. Oh my God, wait a minute, I lost it. It'll come back. Oh, how much time would you like just, I know these are rough numbers, but if a producer's listening to this and they're like, how much time should I really allocate to makeup and wardrobe on set? How much time per person would you say, just as a general rule, should somebody set aside for a person to be styled and a person to be made up? What do you think?
Well,
one person.
So in a context where they have been fitted, I think that we can do it in 10 to 15 minutes usually, assuming that there's not some sort of practical element to the costume that needs to be dealt with.
Of course.
Costuming, that could be 20 minutes, 30 minutes, totally depends. But for normal camera-ready wardrobe, 10 to 15 minutes if it's been fit. If it hasn't been fit, as you say, I think, we're going to need probably an hour to do it. On a fitting day, you can sometimes fit somebody as quickly as 20, 30 minutes, but you're having to wrangle people on set, and it ends up taking a lot longer to get everybody's attention and get an approval on something. So I would say an hour.
Think about that, guys. An hour per person. That's a long time. Right? Think about the time savings by having a fitting day. It's just huge. What do you think, Maya?
Ideally for an average male for hair and makeup, about 15 minutes. And an average female, about 30 to 40 minutes for hair and makeup, because that's the thing too. It's usually just one artist that's doing both of those things. And that can take time.
And then you have to account for once they get on set. There's always going to be tweaks.
Touch-ups and
always going to be tweaks.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so let's end with advice for those budding, new, fresh-faced people out there that want to get into this industry. What do you think they should do? How do they take their first step towards, who do we start with? You're not nervous anymore, Nicole, so we'll start with you.
Oh, no, but I don't have great advice.
Honestly, it is actually hard to give advice because unless you know that you're specific, trying to freelance is difficult because most people aren't putting aside enough of a budget, right? Then as a makeup and hair artist, you're the only makeup and hair artist on set. So it's hard to learn from people.
What about offering free assistance?
I guess, yeah, I think that, reaching out to artists that you find, thankfully now we do have Instagram and, a lot of stuff on Facebook, so it makes it more accessible. You can reach out to artists who are doing set work and offer assistance for sure. That's
build up your resume. It's worth it. It's worth working for free, which is a whole other discussion.
Yeah, that's a whole other discussion.
But you and I started working together because you worked for free in a project.
Yes, but I had also worked with all of the other guys for paid projects.
Yes, that's true. Well, there was a trust. You have to trust the people you're doing. But
yes.
But I think if you're first starting, especially if there's no real formal training, quote unquote, and maybe you're not paying for college,
right?
Put in the time and do a couple of free projects.
I think in terms of assisting, yes.
Yeah.
Assisting can be acceptable for, accepting free work and everything. But, unless you're already part of an established group in a way where you trust everyone, then you're getting into the problems of affecting the industry standard by not. I
even think with assisting, people make their money assisting. So
sure.
I would say taking a reduced rate to do that and offering yourself to people as a wardrobe PA. That was how I came in. And I did not accept any unpaid work actually at the beginning of my career. I just offered to wardrobe PA for people. And if you're around, people will teach you things. I think it's a little different in the makeup world, and I can understand offering free assistance. But I think, the principle of maybe offering reduced cost because you're offering, at this point, a reduced set of skills is valuable.
It's harder in freelance non-union because usually it's hard to get production to pay for a makeup assistant, right? So it would be coming out of my pocket to hire an assistant. And that's a little bit tricky. I would love to be in that position to pay people to do that, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a tough conversation.
It is, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I have no idea how long we've been running, and no one's telling us to
Oh,
stop.
I didn't ever introduce myself. I never went back to that.
Well, we can go back to the beginning now. We'll take it. Yeah, I'll just keep it at the end, but whatever.
Oh,
So who are you? Nice to meet you.
Yeah, keep it at the end.
So you can introduce yourself.
Yeah. Do I tell them my name or did you already do that part?
Go ahead. How would you?
Great.
I'm keeping this all in. I love the awkwardness of it all.
Oh, my whole life is awkward. But my name is Nicole Coakley, and I am a wardrobe stylist here in Boston. I've been styling for 5 years. What else am I supposed to say?
There you go.
Oh, shit. Okay. No, I'm going to try to think of something to say about myself. Oh, so, okay. Yeah, I do.
I'm loving this.
I am too.
This is really hard. Okay, so I do principally commercial wardrobe styling, so working on a different thing every week. And I do period pieces as well as contemporary. Fuck you guys.
I can hear the dryness in your throat. I love this.
I do too. Oh my God. I don't know. Take the introduction
You're trying
out.
to
I don't
be
know
all
what to
serious.
say about
Oh no,
myself.
that's staying in. That is staying in. Well, with that, I mean, we puttered to the end, but we got there. I feel like we had a good flow, but we definitely fell apart at the end. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe don't. I don't know. It's an interesting debate. It's another podcast.
It's
whether
true.
or not people should work for free getting in.
It's true.
I
know.
tried to limit myself and say that like I would only work on something for free for a certain number of days.
Yes, for sure.
I would only
agree.
be willing to work for the same people for free up to a point. I
Right.
think that like we could agree on that as a guideline point of advice is not
Totally,
to keep
totally.
working for free for the same people.
No.
I think
Definitely not.
what you said about affecting the prices in the
industry
industry
standards,
standard. I agree with that. I think that makes sense. But I think what could happen is there's a lot of free projects going on. Not that you would be the only unpaid person, but like the thing we worked on, nobody got paid. Like that was like getting involved in maybe a 48-hour film festival.
Yes.
Or student
Sure.
films or
Yep.
things for experience where you're not gutting somebody else's rate,
Yes.
but you're just offering your services where everybody else is expected to work for free too.
Yes. And
I think
being
that could be
honest
cool.
about why you're there, right? Like
Yeah.
that you are trying to learn and build relationships too,
There
which
you
is
go.
really important.
Good. We picked it back up at the end. I like it. We should stop where we're ahead. All right. That was great, you guys. Like really good conversation.
Thanks,
I'm
Ben.
glad that you came on. Where online can people go to learn more about you, Maya? We'll start with you.
I actually am in the midst of working on a website, but you can find me on Instagram at Maya Landi. It's MayaLandi.
There she is on Instagram. And Nicole, where do people find you online?
You could find me on Instagram, but I wouldn't recommend it.
Why?
She doesn't
I
post.
never post on Instagram, but I do have a website if you'd like to see a more representative sampling of my work than the 5 posts I've put on Instagram. It is NicoleCoakley.com.
There it is. Now, you guys open to questions, comments from the audience if they've got some questions about the industry?
Absolutely.
Totally.
Yeah.
Perfect. So good. The door is open. People, if you've got questions for these two lovely young ladies, they will tell you what's going on in their experiences in the industry and help you guys get a leg up. Because one thing I know from these two is they're not going to hold their expertise tight and close to the vest. They're not afraid of people coming in and learning from them and getting work. We're all, especially in Boston, everyone is kind of in it together.
Totally.
And I
Yep,
think that's
100%.
that's the way this industry should be. So we share information. That's what we do. And they will do the same for you. So thank you, Maya Landi and Nicole Coakley, for being on the Go Creative
Thanks,
Show.
Ben.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. And we'll definitely have you back.
Woo!
Those are my girls. Those are my girls. Maya Landi, Nicole Coakley, the best in the business. That's why I'm bringing them on my sets all the time. Of course, you know who else is the best in the business? Matt Russell. Why? Because he mixes and he masters and he makes the show sound so delicious. You can find him over at gainstructure.com, and on Twitter at gainstructure. Hire him. He can do for you what he does for me all the time. Now, of course, you can also go to gocreativeshow.com to check out all the show notes from today's episode and see and hear all the last episodes that we've had. On Twitter, Go Creative Show. Ooh, and our Instagram now, at Go Creative Show on Instagram. So if you want to see all the behind the scenes of how we do our things, that's where you go. I want to thank our sponsors, Hedge.video, Rule Boston, Camera, Magnanimous Rentals, Shutterstock, and Premium Beat. Without them, we wouldn't exist. So support those that support us.